This is Mr. Mark with the Tawny Town Library here with another cooking video for you. This week we're going to be doing an excellent peanut butter fudge recipe that I found online that turns out really delicious. We're going to need 4 cups of sugar for this and a cup of light brown sugar to mix in, some butter, some evaporated milk. We're also going to need a jar of peanut butter and a jar of marshmallow cream and some vanilla extract to add in for flavor. So let's get started. We need a 9-inch by 13-inch baking pan. This is what we're going to cool the fudge in once it's cooked. And you can just grease the pan up if you want. That'll let you get the fudge out later. But I actually prefer to use parchment paper. I'm going to get a nice long sheet of parchment paper, and then I'm going to push down and crease it at just the right spots and fold it over. And then I'm going to pour the fudge into this. And the reason I like doing this is because it lets you just lift the fudge out and cut it on a cutting board really easy. Now that we're done with that, we're just going to set that to the side and not have to worry about it till we're done cooking everything. We're going to get our ingredients ready. So we're going to start out with the sugar, the brown sugar, the butter, and the evaporated milk. I have 4 cups of sugar I'm adding in, then just 1 cup of the light brown sugar. Then you want an entire stick of butter, 8 tablespoons or about half a cup. I'm just going to throw this in there whole. And then we're going to pour in 12 ounces of evaporated milk. We're then going to put this over medium heat and we're going to stir until it's completely melted. This is what it's going to look like, and we're just going to keep stirring this until it starts to boil. Now, this is going to take a while, but you're just going to keep stirring until it boils. If it's taking too long, you might need to turn the heat up a little bit, but you do not want it to be too hot, or once it boils, it's going to boil over. So let's just skip ahead to when it's fully boiling. All right. You can see that the mixture is starting to boil now, so we're going to set our timer for 7 minutes, and we're just going to let it sit and boil. An important note here, you do not want to stir it while it's boiling. You want to just let it sit. And it's going to take a full 7 minutes here. We're going to skip ahead, but I do want to note it's important you give it the full amount of time. It's better to let it boil for longer than to cut it off short. Once your 7 minutes are up, you're going to want to take it off the heat entirely. So make sure you turn the stove off, of course, but move it to a different burner. You do not want to have it on the heat at all. Now it's time to mix in our other ingredients. So we're going to start with the marshmallow cream. I'm using a spatula here because it makes it easy to scrape out and get out as much as you can. We're just going to go ahead and plop it right down in there. Just the entire 7-ounce jar. I believe that I read 4 marshmallows is the equivalent of 1 ounce of marshmallow cream. So if you wanted, you could also just use 28 marshmallows. But if you can buy the jar, it's a little bit easier. Once all the marshmallows in there, we want to stir it in until it's all one smooth mixture, completely melded together. Once that happens, we're going to do the entire 16-ounce jar of peanut butter and put that in our fudge as well. Once again, using the spatula just for the ease of getting all the peanut butter out of the jar. And then we're doing a teaspoon of vanilla extract, just pouring that in. And now we're once again going to stir until it's all mixed together smoothly. Now I'm grabbing the spatula here so I can make sure that I've scraped everything off the sides and I'm not leaving any chunks that have not been mixed in completely. And I'm going to continue stirring until I'm confident that it's entirely mixed and all consistent. Now that that's done, I'm going to bring my pan back over and just pour all of the fudge down into that pan. And I'm just going to make sure that the parchment paper goes all the way to the edges there, so I don't have any deformed fudge when I'm done. And I'm going to smooth the top down as much as I can to make my final fudge look pretty. And the only step left is to let this cool down for a few hours. We want it to cool all the way down to room temperature, so it will take a while. You don't want to put it in the fridge, that's not necessary. You can just let it cool out somewhere in the open, and we'll come back when it's done. All right, and our fudge has now cooled. It is ready to be cut. And here is where we see the advantage of using the parchment paper, because I can just lift up, get it out of that pan, put it down on the cutting board, and it's ready to slice. Just gonna grab my knife and cut this into slices, and you don't have to worry about being too precise. It's fudge. No one's gonna care if all the slices are the same size. And we now have a whole lot of peanut butter fudge to share. You can keep this in an airtight container and it will stay good for a week or two. You can put it in the fridge and it'll stay good for about a month, I believe. And you can even freeze it and it'll stay good for months. Just have a little taste here, and it is delicious. This is a very creamy fudge, not too peanut buttery, but really good. I hope you all enjoyed fudge this week, and I'll see you again next week.